This your girl Aisha Williams, the Affirming Coach, and I welcome you to the Restoring Me podcast, where we talk about it all. Welcome to Restoring Me podcast with your girl, the Affirming Coach, Aisha Williams. Today's episode is going to be a little transparent. It's going to be a little vulnerable, but it's going to be our first episode to many more. So stay tuned.
This is your girl, not Kenya McCrary, and I'm here to interview the Affirming Coach, my friend, my homegirl, Aisha Williams. How are you today, sugar?
That's good.
What happened to the Empowerment Unleashed podcast?
Okay, so originally I started it back in January, and I was really excited about it. I was excited to launch the podcast because it's been dear and true to my heart where I had to do it. Well, here's the thing. I launched it, but I launched it in my timing and not God's timing. And because I launched in my timing, it didn't succeed at all. I did one episode and then I was done. I got so unfocused with everything else that was going on from the different events and things like that, or just my discipline to do the recordings, that it didn't pan out the way I wanted to. And that's why I say, you got to be careful to make sure you're not doing it in your own will, but in God's will, because God helps orchestrate and organize a lot of things. So I'm not afraid to say it failed. But in the midst of it failing, God was setting it up to be something else. I had to do more background work. I had to do more studying on the different skills and things that it requires to do it, and do it in an efficient and excellent way.
Right.
So therefore, in my process of going back to do the groundwork of it, he rebooted it, but he gave it a new name. And so here we are, the Restoring Me podcast.
God has a way of turning things around.
Yes, he does.
Right when we think, oh God, it failed.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, hold on, wait a minute.
You should have waited for me.
Right, you should have waited. We get so eager to do what we want to do, and sometimes we don't want to wait on God.
Yeah.
But if you just wait on his time,
it has a way of doing things. And, in our reality, look at where I'm at right now.
Right.
Everything, I'm not going to go there, but with everything that's going on, it's perfect timing. And I know it was perfect timing because the way he gave it to me to reintroduce, it was like, Lord, that requires me to be transparent. But I have to be okay with being transparent, and letting it all hang out, because the thing about it is, as long as I'm hiding, nobody's getting healed.
Right.
Nobody's really being restored.
Right.
But me showing that vulnerable side of me, it shows that I ain't got it all together, but at the same time, I know who has it together, who can help me. And so
that brings me to my next question. What is the Restoring Me podcast?
So the Restoring Me podcast is the podcast based on mending the broken pieces. A lot of us are walking around broken. And because we're broken, some of us don't know where to go to be restored. Some of us don't want to be restored because, some of us like pity parties. And then there's some that don't even recognize that they're broken. And the Restoring Me podcast deals with those situations. We bring daily life issues, spiritual issues that's going on, and we're going to heal from it by talking about it and by exercising our faith and doing what God has called us to do in the midst of all of it. So the Restoring Me podcast is only here to help the community. Not just help the community, but help the world, heal the world, at least from my sofa.
Right.
So, yeah.
So when the people ask, say, who is Aisha Williams?
Simple, girl. Let me stop. I am Aisha Williams. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a wife. I'm a business owner to Aisha Williams Enterprises, and I am also a licensed life coach, the Affirming Coach. And I am founder of Restoring My Crown nonprofit. Who am I? I'm nobody but what God has called me to be.
Mm.
I'm sorry, that's it.
That's it. That's all.
I can't even drizzle nothing on that.
That's it. That's all.
I'm who God has called me to be, and He has allowed my hands, my mouth, like the words that come out of my mouth, and He's allowed me to do a lot of things. But what I'm most proud about is I am a child of God.
Mm.
So, yes, business wise, I'm your girl when it comes to business consulting and making things happen for other people in their business, not only their business, but in mine. But also, I'm about helping you get your life when it comes to the affirming coach.
That part.
Because we ain't got time to waste. But yeah, to sum it up, I am Aisha Williams.
Mm. So, Restoring Me, how did you get that name?
I think because I spent, I would say, at least 15 years of my life broken.
Woo.
And the fact that I did not want to accept the fact that I was broken. Because I thought I had it together.
Don't we all?
I'm had me looking like a fool, toe up, woe out, and everything. But so as I was in the process of doing my groundwork of the new podcast and reforming and rebranding it to be what God wants it to be, He dropped that into my spirit. It's just, it took a while for me to get to the place I am now. And He restored me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only right that because He restored me in my life and everything, every aspect of it, is only I go back and grab the next hand and try to restore them or try to assist in restoring them. And the only way I can do that is like allow my light to shine so that they may see God. There's only God, that they see God in me and operating through me.
Right.
So it's all about being that tool for Him to draw in souls, to draw in their hearts to Him. So yeah, Restoring Me was based upon, that's the objective. That's the mission.
That's it.
We're restoring ourselves.
And what comes to me is when He restores my soul and leads me in the path of righteousness for His name's sake.
You better go there. Walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil. For who?
Thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, what?
They comfort me. You better say it. Boy,
my favorite part, He prepares the table in the presence of my enemies.
I'm trying to tell you.
Hello. But we ain't going to go there.
But because your cup is going to run
over.
I'm trying to tell you.
Surely goodness and mercy. Well, what? Follow me.
You so churchy. That don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense. I'm just saying.
But listen, when you talk about restoring me and that scripture comes out to you, it's like, God, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, God, you're really doing it.
Really doing it.
You're really doing it. It ain't me in the way.
But the thing is I spent so much time thinking I was useless, that I couldn't be restored, that I couldn't be remade, that I couldn't be rebuilt. And it's like He picked up little old me.
Every time.
It's like, oh, I got that piece. Oh, you ain't got to worry about that. Oh, another piece fell. Let me go grab this too. And I'm like, sitting me on the pot of hand, just putting me all back together
again.
And I'm like, I will never say I have arrived, but I feel close to it.
Ooh-wee.
Like I feel like I'm aiming for something.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, keep doing what you're doing.
God, I'm doing your will.
Period.
God, I'm in your will.
Period.
I'm not in my will. I'm in your will, God.
Your will, your time.
Thank you for coming to get that one, and I'm that one.
And I'm that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's, girl. But yes.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I can keep going on with that. Well, let me digress and come back to these questions. Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the things that you're going to talk about in this podcast?
As I previously said, we're going back and grabbing life issues. Because a lot of times we get so churchy that we forget that we're still humans, and we still battle things outside the church.
Right.
And even though the church is supposed to be a hospital that we're able to come to and be restored, at the same time, we got to go outside the church to grab them and to help restore them, because some of them don't know. At all. Some of them don't want to realize. So it takes us Grabbing life issues, bringing them in.
Right.
Grabbing spiritual issues because you got so much hurt sitting in a heart because of the church, because it was done wrong.
Yeah.
So therefore, we talking about the spiritual things as well. We even going so far as mental, because mental illness is an all-time high.
It is.
I was at a place where I said I was done with college, but God was like, "No, I need you to go and go get that bachelor's." No, never mind, make that a master's. So here I am in school to be a mental illness coach. Mental illness counselor. I'm like, but at the same time, I understand because you look at the rates each year is growing. So therefore, every aspect, nothing is untouchable when it comes to this podcast. But because we're calling it what it is, because the thing about it is God didn't call us to be bound.
He didn't.
He told us we're free. He told us that we're more than conquerors. He told us that we have a future. So woe unto me to not go get what I already been promised to me. Girl, I felt it. I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to leave the preacher voice alone. So,
the preacher voice said, because you know what? Mental health, we do not talk, and I know this is different than what we said we was talking about, but mental health in the church, it's so crazy.
It is so crazy. And the thing about it is the main ones you put up on the pedestal that's mentally failing and falling apart. But because nobody thinks when you come up in the church you're supposed to be broken, it's not being dealt with. I'm sorry, you got pastors, apostles, preachers, prophets that's mentally ill, and therefore they cannot discern what God is saying in this very hour to help somebody else because they not together. Girl,
they spewing all that stuff on them people, and then they people be so brainwashed that they listen to. So who discerns? Who used their discernment?
And who's at risk?
The babes that's trying to really get into God.
I'm sorry, but I will not be the one.
I will not.
When it comes to me, I'm stepping on everything. That's it. That's it, and that's all.
Woo, Lord. Woo. Okay. So I know we talked about God's timing. So, do you feel like the failure because your first podcast didn't work? Was it hard for you to try again because of the failure of the first one?
You know, I didn't feel like a failure in a sense. I felt convicted because I understood that I moved too quick and I did it in my will and not God's will. So I never felt failure to that. I felt like I failed God. And I think that's way worse than failing in life.
Well, I was trying to tell you.
So in all reality, it didn't bother me as much as I wanted it. Like as normally as it would, it didn't bother me to that magnitude. It was like I was rebuked because of the simple fact of I moved without him. And so I know how serious it is to move with him. So I'm not going to do that again. So it's like if I got to go back and redo it, I'm okay with that because I'd rather succeed with Christ than succeed in my own will, because my own will eventually stops. But with God, all things are possible. All things take off.
Yes.
All things become to be on a radio station even before it ever started. Just thought I should put that out there.
Go to prophesy that thing. Go to prophesy that thing.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Man, those who he loves, he chases.
Hello.
Whew.
And you know what? I love that about him. Because I'd rather not be out here in the wilderness 40 days and 40 nights. 40 years. I don't want to go round and round in a circle. I like to go straight there.
Don't keep taking. I don't want to go in no circle no more.
I'm not trying to delay my promise.
Man, that was the hardest season
of life. Baby, who?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You ain't got to worry. No whale got to swallow me to get me over there. Whale got sick here. Oh.
Oh, Lord. So, tell the people, how will this time be different?
I'm doing it God's time. I'm sorry. That's
all you got.
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
Because I'm doing it different.